Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Samara and today we're going to talking about my April TBR. Starting with fantasy, I actually have a few books on the list. Since it's spring, I feel like reading something cozy, and this one has been called a cozy fantasy. Half a Soul is the first book in the Regency Fairy Tales trilogy written by the author Olivia Atwater. This was published in 2020 and it's a historical romance fantasy. Half a Soul is said to be Bridgerton meets Howl's Moving Castle. Now, I don't know much about Bridgerton except for its vibes, which I like, but Howl's Moving Castle is one of my all-time childhood favorites. I still reread this book. This is the definition of cozy fantasy to me. So I really like that. The story is about Theodora Ettings, a girl who was cursed by a fairy, and now she has half a soul. As a result of that, she has no sense of fear or embarrassment, and that kind of makes her prone to accidental scandals. So she meets this strange, handsome, utterly uncouth Lord Sorcier who finds about her condition, and the story goes on. Later on, she gets drawn into some dangerous, magical, fairy-related affairs, I think. That's really all I know about it, and I don't want to know more because I'm already sold. I want to read this book. I really hope this will become one of my favorites. The next one is a pretty famous fantasy book. Well of Ascension, written by Brandon Sanderson, is the second book in Mistborn Trilogy Era 1. I already read the first one. I already loved it. I'm continuing with it. I'm really behind on reading Sanderson, and I really want to fix that as soon as possible. So I'm going to read the second book and continue into the Cosmere as fast as I can. So since it's the second book, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm going to describe it this way. As Sanderson does. The story is about one question: what if the prophesied hero failed to defeat the Dark Lord? This story takes place in a world where ash falls from the sky and there are no flowers, and there are these Ska slaves who live in fear and misery under the tyranny of the one Lord ruler. Now a group of underworld elites rise up to bring about the downfall of this divine despot. These people are allomancers who have special magical powers, which are all unique in their own ways. There's actually a very specific magic system that I really liked. As far as I know from the first book, I really liked it. I think the second one's gonna be a favorite too. The third fantasy book I would like to read this month is a YA dark fantasy horror. The Curse of the Bane is the second installment in the Last Apprentice series, or the Spooks series, written by Joseph Delaney. This one's for a younger audience, but I found that it's way creepier than I thought it should be for a teenager. I'm just saying that. The books follow a boy named Thomas Ward, who is a seventh son of a seventh son, and that gives him a special ability to kind of sense the dark and the supernatural more than ordinary people can. And later on, he goes and becomes an apprentice to the local spook, John Gregory, and he kind of learns to fight the dark and fights alongside the spook. This is one of the longer series, and I already liked the first one. Actually, I read that a couple months ago. It was fast-paced adventure, simple stuff, but really well put together. I enjoyed reading the first one. So I'm gonna read the second one to see if I wanna read the whole series, maybe. Next one is a collection of dark tales from a beloved fantasy universe. Now, I've been wanting to watch season 2 of Shadow and Bones for a while, but since Lee Bardugo herself mentioned that we would want to check this out before actually watching the show, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do as she says. Who am I not to listen? I'm gonna read the book. The Lives of Saints is a collection of tales regarding the magical history, miracles, and martyrdoms of various saints from Grishaverse. This is self-explanatory enough. I'm gonna be reading it very soon because obviously I want to watch the show. Let's change the pace a bit. The next one is The Cat Who Saved Books by Sôsuke Natsukawa. This is the translated cover. It's not an actual cover. I'm gonna put the cover on the screen. Some would call this book contemporary fantasy, some would call it magical realism. I think it's closer to magical realism. The Cat Who Saved Books is a heartwarming story about finding courage, caring for others, and the tremendous power of books. So Natsuki Books was a small second-hand bookshop on the edge of town. Our main character, Rintaro Natsuki, really loves his grandfather's store. He spends so many hours there reading whatever book he likes. And after the death of his grandfather, he's very devastated and lonely. On top of all that, he also might have to close down the shop. And at this point, I think, a talking tabby cat called Tiger shows up and asks him for help. The cat needs a book lover to join him on a mission. I mean, could this book get any cuter? Of course, it seems a bit middle grade-y, but I'm gonna read it anyway. It has cats and books. Next one on the list is a manga. I've been reading manga here and there since I was a teenager, so it's been a long time. But back then, people didn't really consider manga as reading material, so I didn't have the opportunity to talk about them with anyone. So those of you who are manga specialists, please give me your recommendations. I'd love them. Now, I wanted to start reading one of the famous big mangas out there, and I decided on One Piece. I always wondered what's so special about this manga. It has so many fans, it's so popular, it's almost never ending. What's happening? The series features Monkey D. Luffy, I think it's his name, a boy whose main ambition is to become a pirate. So Luffy and his crew sail the seven seas in search of the elusive treasure One Piece. Now this treasure belonged to the late Pirate King, and now whoever finds the treasure now will become the next Pirate King, I think. There's also a fruit involved, which Luffy accidentally eats and gets a special magical power. He kind of becomes a rubber man, and he can no longer swim. That's all I know, really. And it's interesting enough to me. I think I'm gonna like it, actually. Now, for the mystery thriller genre, I have The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, if I'm right. Yeah. This one got my attention from the start. I had it for a while on my shelves, and I've been waiting for the right time to read it. So, The Silent Patient is a psychological thriller about a woman's act of violence against her husband and her therapist's obsession about finding out the nature of her motive. So one day she just shots her husband 5 times in the face, and then she never speaks a word again. That's the story. That's all I really need about it, because I like reading these kind of books without knowing much about them. So I didn't read more to see what the synopsis said. That's all I know. It sounds very promising. I think I'm gonna end up liking it. Yeah. Okay, at this point I might be stretching it a bit since April's a busy month for me, but I'm gonna try and find more time. If I can find more time, I'm gonna be reading this book, The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. This is also the translated version. This one's a historical fiction about identical twin sisters who grow up together. After growing up together in a small southern black community, they run away at the age of 16 to change their lives. Many years later, one of the sisters is living with her black daughter in the same small town she tried to escape from. The other sister passes for white, and her white husband does not know anything about her past. So the sisters are separated, but their fates remained intertwined. And now the next generation comes into the picture, and we're gonna see what happens next. So, I actually heard only good stuff about this book. Anyone I know who read it actually liked it, so I really have high hopes for this one, and I think I'm gonna end up really enjoying this. Last but not least is a book I plan on rereading this month. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the 4th book in the Harry Potter series. I kind of do that every few years. I reread my favorite childhood books, and I'm currently in the middle of rereading Harry Potter. So this month I'm gonna be reading the fourth book. I don't think this needs an introduction. I'm not gonna introduce it. This is on the back of my TBR, something I'm reading for my my own enjoyment and reliving my childhood memories. Uh, but considering I've read it many times, I'm probably gonna finish this one this month. Yeah. So there we go. I have 9 books on my TBR list for April, and thinking about it, I might have gone a little bit overboard, but I'm gonna still do my best and see how many I can finish by the end of the month. I'll list all the books down in the description for you guys, and please tell me in the comments what are you planning on reading in April. I really like to hear from you, and also I'd appreciate recommendations. Give me recommendations on anything. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.